Welcome back, hunters! I'm the SurvivalVis, and we return Monster Hunter Rise Sunbreak. So last episode, I showed off the powder mantle, and I talked about what I was going to try taking out for, like, a weapon or a build next. And I'm going to be taking a weapon I am divided on. I love the loadout it has for, like, ammos and versatility, but I hate the design of it. That is the Ibushi-like bowgun. I know it's supposed to be fashion, like, the wind sock thing or whatever, but to me, it just looks like a freaking, like, airline travel cushion of sorts. But we're going to be taking this out because it has a lot of auto reload shot types to it. I was trying to figure out, like, this was something that was back in World and Iceborne, the single fire auto reload. But I don't know if it's, like, what an advantage it has with that, apparently. It's like, the thing I do see here is for the ammo details, those are now all fastest reloads compared to some that are only just fast. So I don't know if the thinking is, in order to be single fire auto reload, you get a, like, it has a reload boost compared to the other shots. Let me just see if I can find another one that has some to it. Like, this has the poison. Let me just check this out. No, see, now that's still only a slow. So that's not it either. I don't know what the advantage really is to wanting to have or offering single fire reload. But I put up a little bit of a set together we'll try using, see how it performs. I'm not expecting anything all that great from it. I might as well just put on everything we can take out with it. Yeah, I'm not expecting really great things from it at all. No, I might as well... okay, you know what? I don't really use shrapnel, so I'll toss those away in order to bring out... that, and I think that should be it. Yes, I think that's everything I'm looking for there. So to take this out, maybe I'll go after Arisen Kushala Deora just because I can work at getting some of those Rise gems for more of its armor, and can try, with that for a build, perhaps. But I've never been able to really figure out the point behind the single fire auto reload. Even in World and Iceborne, you never really tried to pursue it, and I don't think it ever worked out to a point where it was, like, good to use, compared to just other bowguns that use the regular reloads. Like, it doesn't offer anything more damage-wise, there's no other boost to it, it's just the fact that after every shot, you, like, get into an automated animation of the reload. I think the idea, for some people theorized, was it would be well on level 3 shots, because those ones usually have a longer reload time, and it might be faster to just do manually each round than, like, manually single-fire reload it, and then having to do the full clip at once. But I don't think it turned out that way. I think it was still, like, a pretty long reload on some shots, and you were, like, not even able to dodge out of it. I think it's only, like, you would get interrupted by the reload if you got hit by something. Yeah, we'll go after Arisen Kushala. I'll take the twins out again, because they are just so helpful. And we'll just spend a little bit of time showing off, like, what that auto reload means, and my thinking of how it could be improved, because I feel like something has to be done with it. It's not present enough or has enough merit to really exist. If you didn't want the bowgun using that shot type, you just don't have that as a capacity the bowgun can use. But you also have to make it so that way it might have some advantage of some kind to make you want to use that shot type as well. So, like, we got normal 1 right now, it's a shot, and that's just how it goes. It's not really that fast when you think about it compared to everything else. And that carries down through to, like, some of the other shots, like a Pierce 3. It's not too long of a reload for that, with, like, having the, what do I have on? Is it... Yeah, reload speed 3. But it still would be faster just doing the full clip, so... I don't know if it's, like, meant to be a balancing issue? Or, well, I shouldn't say issue, but, like, a balancing mechanic where, yeah, the bowgun can have access to these shot types, but it's going to have it at a slower rate. That's the only kind of way I can see it functioning right now. And if that is the case, I don't think it really does a good job of that, because then you have other bowguns that can just use that shot type without any real issue. I think it has to have, like, a bonus to... As much as you're putting up with, like, the clunkier feel of having an auto-reload, you need something positive to balance it out with. My suggestion for it would probably be... On some bowguns that have it, that shot type has a boosted either damage or status or elemental thing tied to it. So, like, let's say on the Rathalos light bowgun, it has a rapid-fire flaming regularly. But let's also give it a single-fire reload of piercing fire. So that shot has, like, a little extra modifier, so each proc of the piercing elemental damage would give you a little bit more power behind its shots. Something to give the bowgun a little bit more identity if it's going to stay as something present in the series, and also just merit you wanting to be okay with using it. I'm not sure what other people, like other bowgunners' real takes on it are, but I think it's one of the things right now, it just doesn't feel worth it to worry about or try building with, or... It's just like a black sheep that doesn't really have a spot it fits in right now. I'm just going to try to get ourselves up with more spear birds, and then we'll engage Kushala. But I think that's something where... If you could get a little boost to warrant, or even that you suddenly want to have it, that could help bring it out to being a more usable... and just make sense inclusion for it to be something. Like, it might sound a little harsh to say it, but right now it just feels pointless to be present. I think if the single fire reload was that the shot types get a boost, so that way it's like a... That's... The bowgun can only handle one of that shot at a time in its, like, clip or barrel or whatever you want to say. At least there's a mechanical reason to say, okay, now there's... You might want to take this out and use it because it's going to be a very strong shot. And to make up for it, you have to fire it at a lower speed. Because other bowguns can just fire those superb shots already, you don't really have a reason to want to try working with it all that much. And the only reason I'm trying to work with it right now is more novelty than anything. Like you can see, it's a bit of a slow and clunky ammo to be working with right now. Oh, jeez. I actually, Right, I'm not trying to work with the dragon ammo. Ooh, out of that. Actually, hang on, I gotta switch to that. That should help us a little bit more, I forgot. I still have the elemental reload, selected. So that was slowing us down a little bit. But again, it's not really any faster than just like a regular reload would be for putting a proper clip in. Actually, it's kind of harmful because you do get picked up with it for so long. It only has negatives to it. So I can't see why you would ever want to have a bowgun that offers anything with auto reload. Now, if it was faster for its reloading, where it was like shot, or like boom, 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 just kind of like semi-auto for it, I can see it having more use, because that means it's an ammo type you can pump out very quickly. Yeah, no, I can't dodge until the reload is actually over. So it is just like collectively worse in every regard. Ow. And it doesn't really give you any, like, damage boost that you get for using it. I do have to actually, hit Kushala's weak spot for... There we go. A little bit. Yeah, it just feels like if you didn't want to use the shot type, it shouldn't have been put on the bowgun, and this is so bizarre in function. Yeah, I was spamming the dodge button. You can't dodge while you're doing the auto-reload animation. So there isn't really a good reason to have it at all. It just feels like a completely detrimental thing. And if it's supposed to be something like, oh lordy. I'm not sure if I've seen that attack, actually. Maybe because I'm a gunner. Kushala doesn't really use that much when you're at range. Yeah, I've been trying to use the auto-reload, it doesn't feel viable for any of this. I'd like to hear what your guys' opinions are on it, too. Like, if you are bowgunners or you've tried that yourselves, how you think the feel is, and what you would do to try to see it improved. Because, of course, I've mentioned it multiple times about, like, just how I am as a person, and I'm always trying to figure out how to fix or improve things if they don't feel like they're quite working as good as they could. And I definitely see the auto-reload as being one of those things that's right in there. I think if it gave, like, a boost to whatever the shot type is for it, so that way it was, like, more powerful, you would feel more desire to want to use it. Because it's like, oh, that's my heaviest hitting shot, so I'm going to want to use that, and I have to understand that for that power, I'm getting a trade-off for it. But it's not that way currently. And because of how much danger you're put in, you're not really getting a reward like how some Sunbreak handles its other systems. Like, yeah, look at how slow it is to fire each round off. So that is probably... I think if I keep talking about auto-reload, I'm just going to be going in circles with the same opinion over and over again. But there is another aspect that... Well, not an aspect of the auto-reload, but something else I'd kind of like to see changed up for Light Bowgun. And that is how its Wyvern Blast kind of is. Like, right now, I think if you were to... using the Wyvern Blast, it might be a little awkward trying to do so with, like, a multiplayer hunt. Just because, for Wyvern Blast to work, you basically need to have the monster attack the mines on the ground. In Sunbreak, it's quite a bit better as long as you're using the Fanning Bolt, because you can place them on the monster. But what I'd like to kind of see done is change change the Wyvern Blast to operate almost like a combination of Iceborne's Wyvern Blast counter and the Fanning Bolt. So what you would do is basically turn the Light Bowgun into a grenade launcher. And for your Wyvern Blast, it kind of does like a little boom and shoots it like an arc. And if it lands on a monster before it hits the ground, it functions just like how it does for the Fanning Bolt, where it's now stuck to the monster on that specific part, and any attacks or damage will be able to, like, proc off explosions from it. Yeah, you know, I'm going to go for this. This is going to take forever if I do just keep trying to rely on that. So, where was I before that happened? I'm trying to think of where I was, but because I'm still fighting with Kushala here, I'm getting a little distracted, and I do apologize about that. A little hard to stay focused fighting the big dragon. I feel like if you were able to do it so that way just Wyvern Blast operated in general like that, it'd be more helpful both single and multiplayer. It's like instead of having to try to draw the monster to your position to get the procs off, or you're holding them throughout the fight until you can like place them down when the monster's flinched, you're just able to place them down right away. And it can both help you and anybody you're hunting with. I'm actually kind of surprised. I guess it's because I have been like dicking around with the auto reload shots. We haven't seen Kushala go into his Risen yet. Oh, speaking of. There we go. Yeah, now we finally get to see his Risen out. God, that took so much longer because I was dicking around for so long trying to get the auto reload to feel functional. But yeah, Wyvern Blast, you basically have to put them down, either draw the monster your position or go into the monster for them to work. Which is not really a smart thing you want to do as a gunner, but if you could put them almost like deployable, or had them like the fanning vault, I think that would be a much more engaging means of doing so. Ooh, jeez. Okay, I think he connected with the first one, but Intrepid Heart saved me a little bit from it. Okay, so that's him on his way. So let's keep on the hunt and take it down. But yeah, those are probably the only topics I really had to discuss this episode. Is the auto reload just feels so weird right now and it doesn't offer any advantages. It has to get redone. Either remove it from the series, because again, it just feels so pointless, or redo it in a way that gives it some purpose to you might actually want to bring it along. Oh, that is the one attack I hate the most from Risen, because I can never seem to dodge it reliably.
Thank you.
Like, that attack is at least pretty easy. Well, maybe not easy, but as long as you know how to get out of it, you can counter with it. It's just the, like, lunges he does. They feel a little harder because they are such large splash areas when they come down. Nope. There we go. Knocked him out of it. Holy crap, those little crabs do a lot of damage sometimes. I think that was 74 we were seeing. Nope, let's get out the Golden Wind. Like, the counter is a good move where it feels so useful, but here, again, I'll put these down, I have to draw the monster over to me, or it'll use ranged attacks and just completely negate those being there. And at least if it was deployed in more reliable means, I could see them, like, being steadily used throughout a hunt. More than just like the situation it kind of gets itself used at. Oh, geez. Actually, I'm kind of surprised I didn't take damage from that, unless maybe it's only when the tornadoes come out. Is that like a golden breath of his actually damaging? Oh, already into another Risen. Didn't stay out of it for very long. Okay, there's the Pierce 2 rapid fires out for now. I can always combine more, but let's make use of all the different ammo types I do have. And he's got a lot of zones that are not taking damage now. Oh, perfect. And yeah, we can hit through this. Oh, come on. Ooh.
Very kind.
Much appreciated.
Okay, actually, it doesn't seem like he got poisoned from that. Those were all 5 of the poison knives I could take, so maybe when he's in risen state, he's much more resistant to, like, status effects proccing. I'm gonna just... Yeah, let me just keep a fair fight without, like, Wyvern riding, unless it, like, happens naturally. Where are you? I think... Oh, yeah, over here. Oh, missed him. Let's go and see if I could try to get some of these rocks to fall on him. There we go. Uh-oh. And that's the easiest way to avoid getting sucked in, is just to use the little hang trick. It seems like everything gets negated if you do that. Every, like, thing that would suck you in or push you away. You just get almost, like, into this immune state while you're hanging off of the wire bugs. And... careful of that, and back in we go. Oh, see, again, I can never seem to dodge that. It always covers such a big area. I don't know if I have to, like, try dodging into it or back out of it. Maybe going to the sides is the wrong move to make for it. There we go. Knocked out again. Oh, come on. Something's going on with the controller a little bit. Sometimes doesn't want to seem to fire for me. Oof. Hurt a little bit. There's that. And it still can be put into, like, enrage outside of its risen as well. Gotta remember that. Oh. Come on, Noah. You can do good. I hope, at least. There's a knockover. Okay, you know what? I'm going to craft more Pierce 2 and Spread 2. God, this hunt's been going on so long, we actually had a monster in the locale change out to another one. Oh, and speaking of, that's actually... Oh, no, I know again with it. Okay, and there's Kushala into its limp state. Well, we got the little icon that shows it's close to being done. Let's just see if we can get a part. Oh, well, maybe no part breaks, but not that we super need it either. The only thing we're after are the Rise gems, and they just come from naturally hunting them.
I thought you were amazing.
But auto-reload, so not worth it at all, in any regards. So stay away from trying to build or use it. You're much better off just using basic shots that have regular reload or that. And yeah, there's got to be something added to make it, like, beneficial to want to use it. Whether it's, like, that specific shot time, or shot type gets a boost to the damage it does, or does more status effect, or does more elemental damage. There's got to be some positive tied with it. Because right now, it's just a negative, in every way, shape, and form. It's slow, it's clunky, it just does not work well. And then, it doesn't have to be done, but I would just kind of like to see the Wyvern Blast change to more grenade launcher. It's much easier, and you can deploy it more beneficially than having to, like, position the monster and draw it to attack where you are. Or you just hold it up until the monster's flinched and then plunk the 3 in the ground. It feels like you either use them all at once, or they're so situational, there could be a little bit better in between. Oh, 1, 2. I'll definitely take those, sure. 2 couple large Elder Dragon gems for that little, cluster F, if you want to call it that. But yeah, that's my thoughts on auto-reload. I would love to see what you guys think and your ideas about it. Because it's something that, since it was introduced, I don't know how it was intended to function. I don't know if it's something where it's, like, meant to be on early weapons to give you a taste of the powerful shots but have a negative, but then just, like, phases and fades out of use once you get later in, or how it's meant to be. It's just such a bizarre thing. And then the Wyvern Blasts, again, not a big change, just kind of combine how they were in Iceborne with the counter ability to shoot them from where you're standing, and if they land on a monster, they basically act like a worm stake, or how they do in Rise if you Wyvern, or if you... Oh, what was that called? Something vaulting. Whatever the vault was. Do they have to be changed, or, like, do I think it should be... Oh, wow. I got 2 things there. Do I think they really need that much of a rework, or it should be done? Not necessary, not requirement. It's just something I kind of like to see to improve its usability a bit more, or give it some better versatility. So yeah, that wraps up this build video. I still got to figure out what I'm going to do for my next one. I'm kind of thinking maybe I'll see about if I can make the Risen Kushala gear, try putting its new skill to a little bit of use too, and that is the Wind... Is it the Wind Mantle? Yes, I think so. And of course it's on all the pieces I do not currently have of him. So yeah, I'll have to probably work at getting that, but I think that'll be a good thing to work for. I do have all the pieces I need, so that's no problem. There's nothing really on those to get. Yeah, so I'll work on that in my own time. We'll see about playing around with Wind Mantle. And that will probably be maybe the end of this week for, like, what we'll do for builds. For now, though, thank you guys for joining me on this little discussion episode of Monster Hunter Rise Sunbreak. I love getting to hear your thoughts, come together, talk things out, and see what the thinking is on some stuff. The feedback and stuff we build together, maybe it never gets heard, but at least you kind of get this feeling there's some other people thinking along the same lines. And that's always a nice feeling to have. But for now, we'll end this episode of Sunbreak right here. Thank you all so much for joining me. If you did enjoy the video, be sure to give it a like, and if you have any comments, tips, or tricks, be sure to leave them in the comments right down below. Until I do see you in the next video, Hunters and Survivors, please remember, as always, to take care, stay alive, and happy hunting.